Ninjas over here, ninjas over there. These nasty guys are everywhere. This is Sega Masters. As you might have guessed, today's game is all about ninjas. Those ancient Japanese warriors of the shadows that somehow became a pop culture phenomenon in America in the 1980s and 90s. These mysterious assassins were featured in various forms of media throughout the decade, from films to TV shows and yes, even video games. This cartridge represents Sega's first attempt to grab a piece of the ninja pie for their console, though it's saddled with perhaps the most boring name for a ninja game ever, and equally generic box art to match. At least the title screen is nice, as is the opening text scroll setting up the plot. Nonetheless, this cart does have an interesting origin. The Ninja is actually a port of a rather forgotten Sega arcade title known as Ninja Princess, which featured a female protagonist, in this case a kunoichi named Kamuri, who's out to free her castle from an invading ninja clan. Basically, it's Capcom's arcade classic Commando set in ancient Japan, only you're mowing down foes with knives and shuriken instead of bullets and grenades. When Sega ported Ninja Princess to the Master System, however, they probably felt the console world wasn't ready for a woman hero in the mid-1980s. So Kurumi found herself sadly relegated to the standard damsel in distress role. Instead, you play a ninja named Kazamaru, who's on a quest to free Kurumi and liberate Okami Castle from the evil tyrant Gyokuro. Most of the game's 13 stages are overhead vertical run-and-gun scenes where you march upward while being swarmed by various enemy ninja and other ancient Japanese stereotypes. Kazamaru is armed with an infinite supply of knives to cut down your foes and can even deflect enemy projectiles if you time your shots right. Some slain ninja give up scrolls which boost your speed and increase your firepower to more powerful shuriken that can really cut down your aggressors. The controls have a rather unique setup, as button 1 lets you fire your blades in the direction you're moving, just like Commando, while button 2 allows you to shoot straight ahead regardless of which way you run, giving you a nice strafing ability. Kazamaru also has the ability to vanish momentarily by pushing both fire buttons together, which often helps you get out of jams. The end of each stage features a confrontation with a low-level boss, and in most cases it's this straw hat wearing thug that twirls a baton, who may remind you of the 3 elemental warriors from Big Trouble in Little China. Basically avoid his weapons and pelt him with enough shots to move on to the next stage, though he does get slightly tougher with each encounter. Your score is then tallied, including your accuracy, and your journey is tracked on this map scroll. While most of the levels are your standard run-and-gun deals, the game often tosses in additional challenges to mix things up, such as the second stage, which has you running uphill and fighting off the ninja while dodging falling boulders. Other stages include navigating a river by riding logs, a la Frogger, trying to survive a horse stampede, and even scaling the castle walls. Each of the colorful environments sports some good details, and the sprites are okay with some so-so animation, though Kazamaru has a funky trot. Audio-wise, only a few background tunes are featured, and while the default tracks are decent, the cheesy melody that plays when you grab a power-up doesn't quite fit the setting. The sound effects are okay, though you get a nice clank sound when you manage to deflect enemy projectiles. But while the ninja play solidly with some nice shooting action, beware, the game is brutally difficult. You're always swarmed by enemy ninja and can easily find yourself overwhelmed no matter how much you fight back. This is especially true in the later levels when the baddies are super quick, and once again you die after one hit, losing your upgrades in the process. Your next man is forced to start a few steps back with your default weak knives and slow speed. That's not to say the game is totally impossible. Each stage does have patterns that can be learned after a few tries, and you can actually get far by luring your foes out then retreating while using your strafing ability to mow them down. Fortunately, the controls are pretty responsive, enabling you to pull off some swift moves. Sadly, once you lose all your lives, it's back to the beginning with no way to continue. But the real aggravating thing about the ninja is half the stages contain hidden green scrolls which you must somehow find and collect in order to complete the game properly. If you reach level 10 without all 5 scrolls in your possession, you'll end up battling through 2 unnecessary stages before suddenly being sent several levels back to collect the ones you missed. Not only that, the game will continue to loop around until all 5 scrolls are collected. Having to look for these hidden scrolls to reach the real final stage can get rather annoying, especially since it's easy to miss the rather arbitrary hiding places unless you have a walkthrough handy. Should you manage to obtain all 5 green scrolls, you're given instructions on how to uncover the real path to the final level in stage 10, which allows you to bypass the aforementioned unnecessary stages and take on Gyokuro's excessively hard inner sanctum. So overall, the Ninja has the makings of a solid release for the Master System. There's plenty of variety in the gameplay and the action never really gets dull, especially since you're constantly forced to be on the move and even have to use a bit of strategy to survive. Yet your enjoyment may be tempered by the brutal and sometimes unfair difficulty, which might cause you to break your controller in frustration. Those willing to weather the storm may enjoy following the path of the ninja, but everyone else might want to take a pass.